Hi everybody, it's Laurie-Ann, Monday's Facebook Live show, and I am on the road. I'm not driving, but my lovely sister is driving, and I'm just going to share this. You know, it's Monday, and just because I'm on the road doesn't mean that the show doesn't happen. So let me just share this to a couple of places. But today we're going to be talking about hosting your own events. And my sister is an amazing meeting planner, and she's going to be sharing with us. She's going to give us some tips. So feel free to, if you've got any questions, just type them right down. Let me just share this in my group, and then also just to my personal page. Sure now. Okay, so that should be all done.
Glasses.
I might need my glasses. Well, here is my sister. She is driving. Just wave. She's a fabulous back of the room girl. So hopefully you guys can hear me really well. We just spent the weekend out, and we went to visit my mother. I actually called her on a Friday afternoon. I was like, Mom, what are you doing tomorrow? And like, what are you doing over the weekend? And she was like, oh, I don't know, the usual. And I was like, hey, can Rachel and I take you out to dinner? And she was like, are you coming all the way out here? And we hopped in the car, and 600 miles later, we were able to get to Mom so that we could take her to dinner. So hello everybody who is watching. We are going to be talking to my sister, who is a fabulous meeting planner and has always been like the best assistant that I've ever had for any event that I've either hosted or that I was hired for. I usually would bring her along with me. So, I mean, like, running your own events is not only an amazing way for you to get your message out there instead of waiting for somebody to give you permission to have your own event. Or to even like hire you. I mean, before I ever got hired for an event, for a meeting, a conference, I started hosting my own. It's a great way for you to get your message out there, a great way for you to build an audience, and just to, dip your toe in the water. A lot of times I was just a guest on a podcast, and one of the questions that she asked me was, how could somebody who's new be starting out? And my answer to that is always like, host your own events. Start small. I mean, you literally can start in your living room, or find a restaurant that you frequent that's got maybe a back room, a nice quiet section that you could just literally just like host a table topic, essentially. Table topics, that does sound like Toastmasters. So, and speaking of hosting events, I am actually hosting a network luncheon event that is this Wednesday. So if you happen to be in the Massachusetts, Southern New Hampshire area and you want more information about that, it's going to be 12:30 at La Belle Winery. There's going to be a good number of us that are going to be having lunch together and learning from each other. And I'm sure that I'm going to come up with some sort of a topic. So let's talk about meetings. My sister, the meeting planner, she is very organized and knows how to make you look like a rock star. That's my sister's superpower, is she makes whoever she works for, she makes them look amazing. So let's see, so Rachel, what is one of your tips, or when you're starting to plan an event, where should you start?
Surprisingly, the end. Start with the end in mind and then work yourself backwards.
So start with the end in mind and work your way backwards. Okay, so what would that be like? Picking the date?
So pick a date and a venue.
Pick a date and a venue. What about a theme?
Themes can come later.
Themes can come later. Okay, you heard that right from the meeting planner. Themes later.
Your theme might change based on information you get as you're planning.
Okay. And if you are watching on the replay, feel free to, if you've got any questions while you're watching this on the replay, feel free to type them in. I will make sure that we get everybody's questions answered. I just want to say hi to Deb and hi to Elizabeth, and just let me know that you can hear me okay, because I am in the car, which I typically do not like to do, but the show must go on. It's 1 o'clock. It's noon here on Monday. So first tip from my sister, the meeting planner, is start with the end in mind, your date, your venue, and then what's next after that?
After that, it's work out the calendar. That is hugely important.
Work out the calendar. So what exactly does work out the calendar mean?
So once you have your date set, you're going to need to work backwards with the contract and know when certain things are going to be due, or your timeline. And you want to make sure you have all your deliverables in that timeline.
Okay. And what about if you're hosting your own event?
Hosting your own event, I think you're still going to have the same deliverables. You're still going to need to meet deadlines. You're just going to be responsible to you as opposed to a venue.
Okay. So if you're hosting your own event, you're going to be held accountable to your own deliverables, your own dates. And what are some of the key things that somebody should think about?
The first and foremost would be, what's your target audience? What's the message you're trying to get out?
Who's the target audience? What's the message that you're trying to get out there?
And
by the way, she totally hates being put on the spot like this. She is fabulous. She doesn't like we're total opposites when it comes to I'll get up there in front of people and speak, and she wants to be behind the scenes type girl. Okay.
So what was the first two?
So I mostly have a female audience, and they're gonna be, a lot of them are might be hosting their events, and so as a woman that's hosting her own event, what should somebody take into consideration to make their audience, to make their attendees feel warm and fuzzy?
Think about what you like when you attend an event. That's how I kind of started. What would I want to see? What would I want to do when I'm there? And start from there.
So your food, your beverage, how would you like to be greeted? Because you're great at that. She's great at greeting people and making people feel warm and fuzzy, about giving them instructions on here's what to do next, here's where to sit, here's where the room is, etc. So that there's never any guesswork about this. And some of the reasons why I would suggest that you are hosting your own events is, you have full control over this. If you are hired to be the speaker at an event, a conference, a meeting, etc., whether that's live or virtual, you are at the mercy of whoever the meeting planner is, whoever's actually hosting, whoever conference it is. And sometimes they might say no pitching, and if you're hosting your own events, you get to pitch your audience. So what is the next step afterwards? Is there a better time? Here's a good question. Is there a better day than others for meetings and events?
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays.
So she says Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays are your best meeting dates. And why do you say that?
Because you get people who on Fridays are thinking about the weekend, and then Monday, it's Monday.
So Monday is Monday. And so if you're going to host your own event, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursdays are your best dates.
In middle of the month.
And why all right, and also she says the middle of the month. Why the middle of the month?
You get a lot of businesses, if you're attracting different businesses, the beginning of the month is, you're closing out the previous month, and the last week of the month is preparing for month end.
Okay, so the best time to have your events, to host them, is the middle of the month. That's news for me. Although I'm trying to think about a lot of the events that I have hosted have been the middle of the month. So that's really good, because so in case you missed that, the reason why to host them in the middle of the month is that in the beginning of the month, a lot of people are, businesses are thinking about like what they have to do for the entire month. And towards the end of the month, it's that like got to get all your numbers in, got to get all your sales in. It's like hustle, hustle, hustle. So middle of the month and middle of the week. And what can you negotiate with a hotel, a venue site? What can you host with? What can you negotiate with a hotel? Let's talk about what you can negotiate with a hotel.
Just about anything.
Just about anything.
However, it will depend on how large your event is to decide on whether or not the hotel will give you that negotiation. But hosting in the middle of the week, you have more negotiating power because a lot of the places just don't have events all the time.
Okay, so if you're going to host your own events, you in the middle of the week, middle of the month, when it's probably a dip in the hotels, they want to make their numbers as well. That's when you're going to get the most negotiations out of the hotel. And are we talking about negotiating price, food?
Always negotiate AV prices.
Always negotiate AV prices. Why is that?
Those are always high.
Because AV prices are always high, she says.
And if you don't ask, you never know.
If you don't ask, you never know.
I always ask for everything. And I ask for it to be free. Don't always get it.
Okay, so can you actually ask for your AV to be free?
You can ask them to include it, but in most hotels, the AV is a separate company and will negotiate with you separately.
So in case you didn't hear that, typically in hotels, most of the time the AV is going to be a separate company that's outside of the hotel. So you probably can't get that for free, but you certainly can ask, because then the hotel could sort of like cut back on what they're charging for it. So that's really good. So how big would an event have to be in order to be able to have more power in negotiations?
It depends on the size of the venue. If you've got a small venue that only holds 50 people and you're bringing in 30, then you're going to have more negotiating power than if you're bringing in 10.
So 30 people, even if you have 30 people, and 30 people is not a whole lot of people to have it your own hosting, your own event.
It depends on the size of the venue. If that venue only holds 50 people, you want to be more than half of what the venue holds, and then usually will have more negotiating power.
Okay, so what she's saying is, if the venue site, and you're talking about like a room,
right?
Like you're renting a room that can seat or host about a total of 50 people. What she's saying is, if you can have more than half, so over 25, then you're going to have more negotiation room than if you're just doing it, if you've only got 10 people and the room holds 50, because you're paying food per person.
Right, you're paying food per person based off of usually the square footage of the room.
Based on the square footage, okay. So, like, hosting your own events is not complicated. My sister Rachel said that she's got a spreadsheet of information, and she's willing to share her spreadsheet. So all you have to do is just type down below, just write spreadsheet, and I'll be sure that Rachel gets her spreadsheet to you. We'll just send it to you through Facebook Messenger. And what exactly is on that spreadsheet? Because remember, with a spreadsheet, you'll be able to rinse and repeat. Like you've got all of your information. Once you host your first event, it'll be super easy just to do it all over again, and you've got all the information. And if you host it at the same place, then you could basically, have the same contact person, and again, rinse and repeat. And that means hosting your second event gets easier and easier. And what is on your spreadsheet?
Very extensive, multiple tabs. It starts off with just your general information of when the event is, where, the focus of it, and then it has the goals. What are your goals of the event so that you can evaluate it at the end, followed by a budget and a calendar. Again, any worksheets, deliverables that you need to have. It really walks you through every step of the event, including at the end when you want to look back and review it and make sure you met your marks. Did you meet those goals? If you didn't, what could we do better next time?
Fabulous, fabulous. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to type them in if you're watching the replay, and I'll be sure to make sure that you get the answers. And again, this was from the road, which, you know, typically I wouldn't do, but the show must go on Mondays at noon, and if I'm on the road, this is just what's going to happen. So I hope you guys all have a fabulous week. We are rapidly approaching, like we're in December, so we're in the last month of 2018, and I'd love to know, what are your goals for the rest of this month, and have you started planning for next year, or at least the first quarter? And I've got some great surprises that are coming up and some great programs that I'm going to be working on, and they're all going to be to help you grow your business, get you out speaking, and to market through speaking. Hope you guys have a great week. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.